Hello, Munish. Fantastic to have you with us on Spotlight today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me over, Dilpreet. Thanks. Pleasure.
Munish, you're the founder of Graycell Technologies, an early stage investor in 50 plus startups, director at Chandigarh Angels Network. You're the founding curator for Global Shapers Community. I could go on. Passionate about running. You've completed 365 days of running. I saw on your Twitter handle, and even a 24 hours marathon. It's just so commendable, the achievements you've had. What inspires you and what energizes you?
Uh, Thanks. Tough question, I guess. Ever since the beginning, I guess I have been a man who's always enjoyed hobby here and there. I've picked up things, and the thing that kind of, and probably is part of my nature also, I guess. Initially, I like to keep moving from one thing to another thing. Maybe it's not such a good habit to have, but it keeps me going in that way. I kind of like to multitask, so to speak. I enjoy doing different things as well. And, just moving, finishing one task and then moving on to the other gives me a little sense of, I guess, achievement as well, keeps me motivated that I'm doing something different. It's just not all about work, I guess, not all about business, so to speak. There is much more to life, and probably part of me wants to kind of go out and do different stuff and look at different things. So that's what keeps me going in this respect.
Fabulous. And please tell us a little more about Graycell Technologies and what is the friction that you are addressing in the market?
Uh, I started Graycell around 17 years back. Although I come from an entrepreneurial family, I guess my dad was a first generation entrepreneur, but I myself call myself an accidental entrepreneur. I did my master's in computer applications from Punjab University, Chandigarh. I then kind of worked for the first 4.5 years of my career with different companies. I eventually then, I got a project here, a project there, and I said, why not take that plunge? Start doing my own business and see if it doesn't work out. I always have a fallback. I've done this, and I can go back and still do a job. Uh, with the grace of God and my family's support, I guess I didn't have to go back to doing a job. I started out Graycell initially back in the day. We were I guess, pure play services company, and we had a very limited number of clients, and the business grew very organically and all on word of mouth, basically, right? And that's how we kind of grew very slowly and steadily. In around 2012, it got to a point where, I started feeling maybe we should do some kind of product development. It's something I guess most entrepreneurs kind of go through. You're running a services business, you're developing products for others, and you wonder, why can't I do this myself? And at that point also, I did a couple of collaborations. Unfortunately, none of them really kind of worked out. And, then I decided, okay, maybe product might not be my cup of tea. And I started then investing basically as an offset. Okay, if I can't do product development myself, let's just work with these startups to do different things basically. As an organization, Graycell currently is around 70 odd people. We've been in business, like I said, for 17 years. We address a wide variety of technologies when it comes to the tech stack. And we have clients ranging right from enterprises to SMEs. We work with a lot of startups as well now currently. But most of our business, I still feel, is very stable, either from larger organizations or from smaller organizations, not the mid segment, but somewhere either some are very large, some are either, most of the SME segment. That's the kind of niche we've been servicing over the years.
It comes to my mind that I see a lot of product-led businesses being investor ready, but service businesses not so much. Is there a difference in business model or assessment for investors as to why they would or not choose a service business?
True. You see, what happens is, and I will not now generalize, maybe I'll stick to our region, the Tri-City region, is a lot of service businesses are very generic, right? They do anything and everything. So you might reach out to a services company and say, I'm just saying, let's say I need a developer with skill set X, and you'll say, okay. You say, I need a developer with skill set Y, you'll still say, okay. And you might say, I need something else, I need design, you'll still say, okay, right? It becomes like, especially when you're at growth stage, you say yes to everything. You don't know where to say no, and you don't say no. How to make yourself an investable services business is you maybe start focusing on a niche and develop that niche. Work on a particular vertical or pick a particular area. So I just don't mean to say, let's take AI as an example. And I'm just not saying you're an AI company. You focus, drill down further also. That okay, we're doing AI for this specific domain as an example, right? Or let's say you over time you have acquired expertise building CRM products, but your core area is now automobile. Now you have value, right? You are now a services business, but you're servicing a particular niche. You have a USP now because nobody else is doing that, right? But when you're a generic services provider, at the end, what do you have to offer when, let's say, your company goes up for sale? It's your clients and maybe your staff, right? So you're more likely to be a subject for an acqui-hire more than anything else, right? People maybe just want the talent on your team. And that's also true for smaller companies, right? Right. But product, on the other hand, if you've kind of established a product and it's now doing very, very well, so goes back same to that services corollary. You are now servicing a segment and you've got growth, revenue. You're building on, and your investment is all initial investment is much higher in a product, right? Services business, if you look at it, kind of grows year on year like a linear kind of growth. What on the other hand might start out very slow and then just kind of have hockey stick growth if it really addresses the niche and the market that it's going after. So, services business still, if today, even if I, as an investor, I would never look at a pure play services business, right? It's just something very generic at the end of the day. I don't mean this as any disrespect or anything incorrect. I mean, I run a services business. I'm perfectly happy doing that. But it's just that even when I look at it myself, I find no USP per se, right? It's more driven by the team and how you kind of address the. But nowadays, if you look at it, lots of newer players, and I've noticed this, in other parts of India as well, they are now servicing verticals, right? They don't do any and everything. They might begin with healthcare, and then they drill down into that healthcare domain and provide service to that particular niche, right? That becomes a more valuable acquisition target in my set.
So there is a way to differentiate yourself by actually going very specific and targeting a specific problem you're solving and building your expertise in that area.
You have to learn to stand out, basically, correct? I mean, if you really want to scale your business, you have to stand out, right? You have to have a USP or a niche that you say, this is what I do differently as compared to the others, right? Back in the day when all of this started out, it was very, the game mostly at that point was cost arbitrage. In today's world, cost arbitrage is no longer going to cut it, right? You have to have value to offer as well.
True. So you are a mentor and an advisor. You're very active in your engagements with startups. Whom do you look up to for advice?
Oh, I'm very lucky. We have a great network. So Chandigarh that way, the Tri-City has a lot of advantages because when it started out, it was a very smaller and a very tight-knit kind of community. There's a very vibrant Thai chapter in Chandigarh. I've been associated with, and I have always learned from a lot of my seniors. We have a very strong NASCOM community as well now. So you can always kind of reach out within the community for help, or you can just reach out to one of your peers also for that matter, and just ask them for advice. And people are very forthcoming in that respect in this ecosystem. Lots of folks I have reached out for advice and have taken advice, and they've always been very helpful. So again, engagement models might vary. You might just need sometimes you just need to discuss a particular problem. At other times, what I've learned now also is that mentoring is a full-time gig, you need to spend much more time. So mentoring is not just about 1 or 2 sessions probably. You need to kind of work with that person maybe for 6 months or so to kind of see where they're going and how they're learning basically. Initially, a lot of us used to simply sit down for an hour, say, Hogi mentoring, and now you're done. But now you realize that's not enough because you need to have a continuous kind of feedback loop to see whatever you discussed previously, how is that being implemented? Is there any improvisation? What is the learning from that to kind of take it further? But Chandigarh has a very strong ecosystem, and people have always been willing to help.
It's fantastic, and that's something that you always need throughout, irrespective of whether you're doing well and or struggling, but you do need your sounding boards and guides and advisors with you.
Absolutely. And, a lot of us, when we used to talk also and we discussed this, initially we all agreed, most of us initially and still do, run what we call lifestyle businesses. So, now people are changing that mindset that no, we don't want to run lifestyle businesses. We want to run businesses that can grow and scale. Even later, a lot of us are now in our 40s, 50s, but that that hunger, that growth is now there that, okay, look, I want to take this to the next level. Like, I don't want for it to stop here, or I don't want for it to plateau out. I want to grow it, right? So that's great to see in the city now, and things are changing definitely.
And on that note, I want to ask you my last question, which is, what is growth to you now, or both professionally and personally? What's your ambition and goal?
That's the tough. Growth now for me is dual. I don't look at it only professionally; it has to be personal as well, right?
Hmm.
And probably I've been one of the few people who's always been seeking that since quite some time back. Maybe I've not grown my business to that extent, is because I seek to do other things also, and that keeps me, that gives me motivation as well, right? But growth has to be both ways. It has to be personal. You have to grow as a person in order for you to grow your business as well. There is no denying that. If you don't grow as a person, you're never going to be you can only grow your business that much. For me personally, now I basically want to now kind of grow my business as well, take it maybe to the next level in the coming 5 years or so. I'm 45, maybe the next target is 50, scale it. But I've also learned now is I don't want to set goals per se. I probably now have realized over time it's the process that matters. If you put the process in place, your results will eventually come. So it took me a long time to figure this one out because you've always been taught goal, 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 set this goal, hit the goal, hit this goal, hit the goal. And at times, if you look at it now with too many goals, you lack motivation. You get to a goal, then you lack motivation. Oh yeah, what am I going to do next? Right? You have to really pull yourself out again to kind of push yourself. So maybe is now is if you set proper processes in place, there's a great framework in place, there's a solid foundation, it becomes much more easier to build also. Without kind of putting in that kind of effort when there is nothing in place, you're simply just running helter skelter. So for me, basically now, just want to work on ensuring both personally and professionally there are processes in place to enable exponential growth, if you may say.
Fantastic. Thank you, Munish. You're a wealth of knowledge, information, and your experience is invaluable to the mission. So, thank you so much for making time to chat with us on Spotlight.
Thank you.